And you guys saw by creating the parallel lines with the compass and the straight edge, is that you found out that I gave you guys this really, really easy way to mark up your diagrams. All you ever have to do, pick one spot, vertical angle, switch it, and vertical angle. Those 4 angles will always be the same, and the other 4 angles that don't have the tick marks are also going to be the same. It's the quickest way to do these things. Okay? So again, whenever you have your parallel lines, remember the symbol that they throw on there is they will put an arrow like that. Pick a spot, go vertical, switch sides of the transversal, and go vertical. That way you know if the angles match up, they're the same. If one of them has a tick mark and the other one does not, they have to add up to equal how much? 180. That's all it is. That's all these are. Whether or not you remember all the different names and everything like that, that's great if you do. But if not, if you know how to work with it, just as fine. So if the angles match on the tick mark, they are congruent. If the angle has a tick mark and no tick mark, what I mean by that, Whiskey, is let's say you've got this one here and this one. Those 2 angles have to add up to 180. What if they both don't have a tick mark? Careful. They're equal. So if the angles match with the tick marks or match with no tick marks, put that in here as well. Okay. So it's either going to be equal or they're either going to equal 180. That's it. That's all there is to this stuff. It is quite literally that simple. The difference is you're going to come in is when we talk about the different names. That's it. When you've all done this before, alternate interior, alternate exterior, corresponding, consecutive interior. I know that each one of you guys have seen that before. Because they talk about it in like somewhere in like 6th, 7th grade. Okay. It's just been a while since you've heard them. Okay?
I wasn't 2 for 6 and 7.
Well, you'll learn about it now. So, Merry Christmas.
Yeah, I'm glad that's my Christmas.
It is, isn't it? It's like getting a pony.
No,
Better.
But better.
Except one that poops
Mm,
on
It's kind of a crappy situation.
Exactly. That's all I'm saying about.
All right, so let's define a couple of the angles. Whenever we have these 2 parallel lines that are cut by a transversal, we're going to have 4 different sets of angle pair relationships, 4 different terms. And what I want to do is just define what they look like so that way you can identify which ones are which. Okay? So this idea here of if 2 parallel lines are cut by a transversal, you have 4 statements that can be said then. Oh, do I need a copy? I forgot to get one. I got one over here. Yeah, I totally forgot about that.
I'll forgive you this one.
Oh. Okay. So what happens is that you get these different angle pair relationships. The first one are called alternate interior angles. Alternate interior angles are on the inside on opposite sides. Alternate, get it on both sides on the inside. So those 2 are the same, and then these 2 would be the same. That's it. Okay. What do you think alternate exterior would be? Definitely not on the inside, you're right. They'll be on the outside, very good.
You could do the
What's that?
to move them out of the way. Yeah, well, I was trying to, sometimes it's tough to throw in where you have two of them, so these two would be the same. Because you have two different angles. Alternate exterior, outsides. Those two would be the same. And those two would be the same. So if two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, alternate interior angles are congruent. Alternate exterior angles are congruent. I'm not overstepping the fact that you guys have seen this, right?
Anyone remember this?
I know you guys have seen this. Really? I know you have. Okay. The other ones are what we call corresponding. Let me write this one out. Corresponding. Corresponding angles. Corresponding are the ones that are in the same position on the same side of the transversal. Sounds weird, but when you look at it, if I have these, put this up a little bit, and I number them. Forgot to go in order. Angle 1 is in the same position as what other angle? Yeah, what's it?
Angle 2. No,
No.
angle 5.
Angle 5. Yes, sir.
Never mind.
Okay. Notice, corresponding are the ones that are going to be, if they're in the same position, in the same spot. So angle 1 is that top left. What all other angles in the top left?
Angle 5.
5. Angle 3 is the bottom right. What's the other one that it matches up to?
Angle
Let's-
7.
7. Okay. So what happens is, if you went through your corresponding angles are the ones that are in the same position. Okay. That's kind of the easiest way to remember that.
That's when angle 1 and angle 5 are equal.
Yeah.
Angle 2 and angle 6 are
Yeah.
equal.
So they're,
Means
let's just call them angles in same
position.
position. Okay, and corresponding angles that are also congruent. All right. And then the last one is what we call consecutive interior. Consecutive interior, gee, where do you think those are? What's that?
Inside, inside.
Inside. Consecutive interior are ones that are, can I move this up?
No. That's
Consecutive interior are the ones that are on the inside, on the same side. They are not congruent, but what are they? The what? They're on the same side on the inside, so the same side inside, but they're not congruent. They are
One has a
What is
tick
it?
mark, one doesn't.
supplementary. Very good. They're supplementary. They're at 180. Okay. One of them has a tick mark. The other one doesn't. One of them has one tick mark. The other one has 2 tick marks. They don't match up. That means they have to add up 180. That's it. So consecutive interior angles are supplementary.
Sup.
Oh boy. Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Like I said, most of these things that we look at are very, very simple. It's the idea that knowing how to mark your diagrams correctly to be able to solve the problems, that's what we're looking at today. Tomorrow, when we talk a little bit more about some of the fill-in-the-blank style proof that we'll do, and even a little bit on our own, the big thing that you'll have to be able to write, and we'll put these in a progression probably tomorrow about the right ways to put these things down. But it's pretty straightforward. And there's a little bit of terminology we're gonna use, but other than that, it's pretty straight, okay? Questions so far? Yes, ma'am? Are you bleeding profusely?
Yes, she is. Come on.
You mind? Did you say? All is well. All is over. All is well. All right. So let's look at some algebra of this.
Oh.
Let's see what we can do. We had two. Yes, sir.
Is there a certain way you have to number the angles? You know, like 1,
No.
2, 3, 4.
Normally I just go clockwise, and that's just what I do.
Angle number 2 is 80 degrees.
So let's go through this, and what I want you guys to see is that sometimes you not only just have one set of parallel lines, sometimes you might have two sets of parallel lines, where you have to go through the diagram and just kind of slowly build yourself out by rotating your papers and things like that.
Angle
Okay.
1 is 100.
Excuse me.
Is 800.
So in this one,
180.
they want you, yeah, listen.
Alright, who's got it?
Well, let people draw it out first, so we can go through it, right? I appreciate it.
Slow.
One of the things you guys will see is that you're gonna have multiple, sometimes with diagrams and all that, you're gonna have multiple transversals, you're gonna have multiple lines. It's a matter of following and maybe covering up half the picture as you're going through it to try to figure out what exactly you're looking at. Try to not to make it so difficult at first, okay? Now, this one isn't terrible. This one is pretty darn straightforward. But if I do this, just to make my life a little bit easier, I have two parallel lines cut by a transversal.
They're supplementary.
They have to be supplementary because if I start with the 80-degree and I do my tick marks, so boom, boom, we'll switch and go. Does the 80 and the 3 share a tick mark?
No.
No, so what do they have to add up to equal?
180.
What's angle 3?
100.
It's 100. It has to go that way. And it's the easiest thing to do by using those tick marks. If they match up, they're equal. If they don't, they're supplementary every time. If the lines are parallel. Same deal going the other way. We have these two lines are parallel. So if I do that, chop off a little bit. Tick mark, switch sides, and tick mark. 80 and 1, do those two match up? No, so what's angle 1? It's 100. Again, tick mark, switch sides, and tick mark. Do those two match up? No. So what's angle 2 have to be? 80 degrees. That's how you work through these problems.
That's the algebra.
Well, not necessarily yet, we're getting there.
Oh.
Okay. We're getting there. All right. This one. Sometimes they'll draw stuff that doesn't look like the lines continue. Sometimes they're just part shapes. Yeah, sometimes they just put shapes in there. It's very, very common. Now, it's also going to ask that you know a little bit about shapes, like how many degrees are inside of a triangle.
180.
180, good. So when you draw something like this, that's kind of how you draw it, okay? You're given that you have the 85 here. You're given that you have a 45 degree here, which means what does this angle have to be?
55.
55, very good. So that angle has to be 55. Now, we have two parallel lines
Yeah.
cut by a transversal.
It's 55.
It can't be 55, but it has to be 50. Yes. Thank you. notice what I did is I drew those parallel lines.
Means Y would be 85.
When you draw that longer, if you extend this out longer, then you can start doing your, okay, this in here, and then you switch sides in here. What does Y have to be?
85.
85. What's the angle pair relationship for Y and 85? Same side, same position. Corresponding. So it has to be 85. What would all three of these have to add up to equal?
180.
What's the angle in the middle? 45. And you could also do it another way. Two parallel lines cut by a transversal. You can go that way as well. It works for 45. Okay. There are going to be multiple ways to solve these problems. Bless you. One of the biggest ways that I would suggest that you guys do these things for the weird ones like that, draw the parallel lines longer. Draw out the diagrams a little further. It's very easy to see it then. Okay. Very, very easy to see. What shape is that? What is it? What shape is that? All right, it's a quadrilateral. Be more specific. There's a more specific name for this one.
Usually the polygon.
It is a polygon. It's a quadrilateral. Polygon is the big one, and then quadrilateral brings it down a step. Well, what type of quadrilateral is it?
There's one set of parallel lines.
Trapezoid.
It's not a parallelogram. Parallelogram would have two sets of parallel lines.
It's a trapezoid.
It's a trapezoid. Very good. How? Trapezoid only has one set of parallel lines. That's it. Exactly. Because whenever you have parallel lines, if you extend them through, and you have a transversal here, if this is a right angle, what do all 8 of these angles have to be? They all have to be right angles. Which means that this is a right angle, so what's x?
X is right angle.
Not a right angle, what's x? 45, very good.
2x would be, 2x would be.
And that's how you get to 45.
Anything's-
Because if you have one right angle with parallel lines and a transversal, all of them have to be right angles. Prime example of that is look at the blue lines on your paper with the red line going straight down the margin. Isn't that red line perpendicular to every single one of those blue lines?
No, it's great.
Well, whatever color it is. Okay. Now, same thing here. What are these two angles in terms of the other transversal? Are they going to match up to be equal, or are they going to be supplementary?
Supplementary.
They're going to be supplementary. So what do those two have to add up equal? 180. Very good. So here's more of your algebra then. You have 3y, that's 6y, is 180. Hey, solve from there. What's 3 plus 6?
3 plus 6 is 9.
9. Very good. Y is? 20. There you go. Then that's how these things work. You're looking cross-eyed at it, okay? You're still on Indiana time. Was it a good time? You cannot find the linked file.
This weekend?
Yeah, and they said you make a special school.
I understand.
I have a Halloween.
Right out.
And then Friday I got cleaned out.
Alright. So let's try a couple algebra problems now. Let's see how we do.
That should be aggravating. Sunday, so.
Okay, first step, you guys, identify the angle pair, so you know if they're going
Ladies
to
and
be
gentlemen, come on.
congruent or a sub.
When we start these, draw the picture, and then just start marking like we have been.
Can I borrow a piece of paper?
There's plenty of scratch paper in the back there, whisking up yourself, sir.
What?
Walking around like an old man. You all right?
If you want.
Are you okay today?
So, when we start again, guys, the easiest thing to do is pick a spot, for example, probably the one that says 100, and walk through. Vertical, alternate interior, and vertical. Did those match up? So they have to be equal. They're corresponding, yes, you're right. So, algebraically, x minus, is it minus? Minus 10 is 100.
Plus 10 on each side. X equals to 110.
What's that?
So if they're like 100 and x minus 10 are kind of like equals, so then
Yeah. Yeah, corresponding, when you have two parallel lines cut by a transversal, corresponding angles are equal.
But you're finding the measure of the other ones.
I already solved for x. That's it. That's all there is to this stuff, guys. Here, take a second. I'll blow these two up so you can see them better. Get these two done.
These are Packers, right? These are the Cavaliers. Okay.
So,
I'm not a Wolves fan.
What? You never had a rock in your shoe? Are you too cool? Sorry. I'm a person too.
A person
I'm human. Like yes, ma'am. What? Oh yeah, what's wrong with my socks? Are you laughing at my socks?
Say yeah.
What's wrong with my socks? Thank you.
Hey, I have one thought.
Is everyone all done?
No.
All done, all done?
Yes, done.
What's wrong with my socks? Why are you guys making fun of me? I'll make fun of you. Yes, ma'am. No problem.
Yo.
Yo.
What's up?
I don't know. I haven't done the problems yet. You got this stuff memorized?
Aren't you the teacher?
Yeah, it doesn't mean I have things memorized.
He said something like socks. Let me see those socks. Are they the Rama Jamma brand? I'm just kidding. I'm I'm kidding. That was actually a brand. I think it's Ramajam. That sounds cool.
That's cool. They're actually called funky socks. I'm sorry you don't have taste.
Sorry, not cool. These on those socks. Yo.
Oh, here we go.
Whiskey, you wearing feel
So cool.
How much pay for I pay 60?
Jamaica.
$60 for my socks?
No, 60 cents.
Oh.
I ain't damn with
91.
So again, guys, just pick a spot. One second, Wiz. Pick a spot. All you do is pick your spot, do the vertical, alternate interior, and vertical. Those two have to be equal. Set them equal to each other.
Mr. Murph,
Yes, sir.
can I do 22?
And well, what's 45 divided by 3?
50.
60 divided by 2. Okay?
Can
Whiskey.
I do the next one? Come on.
Now, one thing I will tell you that will happen is that from time to time you might get lost in a diagram because of an arrow being pointed there. Just read it carefully, okay? So as we go through, start with your 102, alternate interior. Those two did not match up. Therefore, what do?
Second to equal 1.
Yep, they have to be supplementary. They don't match up, so they have to be supplementary. Okay?
2x plus 12 plus a $1.02 is 180.
12 and 102 is 114.
No, you subtract. Oh, yeah. Combine.
Subtract that over.
That'd be
66.
33.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, absolutely. That's another way to do it. Hey guys, what she was doing is that right off the bat, she got the supplementary. The supplementary to 102 is 78. And you just set those two equal to 78. It's fine. Works the same way. There's more than one way to do this. That's perfectly fine. Nothing wrong with it at all. Okay?
I don't think it gets any more difficult from this, to be honest. Not really. I'd be pleasantly surprised.
You will be surprised at how hard math can get. We've gone fast.
So let's see. You guys have on your sheet now. Yeah. Let's do the 11 through 22. You guys got time? Do the 11 through 22 on the same one. Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Oh, yeah. What I did there was.
Hey.
Look, hold on.
You got your 20 ring? Whiskey. I need that. Whiskey. Going bro.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, Jason. I'm a Cavaliers fan, not an Indians. I hate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, you guys have stuff to do. You should be able to get this done before you walk out of here.
How am I left my sheet at home?
Don't listen to him.
Pull up on the.
I've been a Cavs fan since 07. You know how rough that's been? No, I'm not lying. Hey, we went to the finals and got swept. Yeah, that's how much of a bandwagon I am.
Come on, guys. Let's go. You guys got work. Let's go.
I didn't like it. I didn't follow LeBron. Huh? Hell no. I hate